Welcome to the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. Brought to you by Blue Sky Business Consulting. We discuss 5 questions in about 15 minutes.
And welcome again, everybody. We appreciate you joining us for another episode of the Team Engagement Podcast. I am very excited to welcome our guest today. This is Darshan Mehta, and he is the founder of iResearch Incorporated, located in both Washington, D.C., and right now, he's got dual offices also in Bangkok, and that's actually where he is right now. So, Darshan, thank you so much for taking time of what is for you in the late evening and joining us on the podcast today. What would you like the audience to know about iResearch Incorporated?
Well, Sean, I want to thank you first for the opportunity, and it's not a problem. I'm used to working in multiple time zones, so it's not a problem. And it's a pleasure to be on here and talking to you. So iResearch was really founded with my background is marketing and advertising research and branding. And I don't know, back in the late 90s, I started dabbling with internet online market research for 2 reasons. One, I was in the industry, and second, my friends accused me of being Indian, so I have that gene for technology. So I started dabbling with online surveys, online focus groups. And as a result, I've developed my own platform to do it over the years internally for clients. Excuse me. Now I'm actually turning it into a SaaS to allow people to do basically online focus groups anytime, anywhere, in any language. You probably are familiar with most other your listeners are doing online surveys, but this is actually allowing you to do online focus groups. And what this allows you to do is to go deeper and gain insights and get at the why.
That's really helpful, because I know that in some of the consulting I do, that's a big question that businesses are asking themselves is why. And so I love that. It's very interesting. We'll have to talk a little bit more about what it is that you're doing and how you do all that. But that's fantastic. I'm glad you're able to go a lot deeper to help your clients with their marketing efforts. So that's great. Well, thank you again for taking time. Let's jump to our questions. Now, Darshan, our first question is, you've been growing your business. Is there a challenge that you have overcome that you're especially proud of?
I think just starting a business itself is a challenge. There's constant challenges all along the way. And the thing is, when you talk to your friends, family, and colleagues or whatever, or mentors, oftentimes, you're going to get 100 reasons not to do something, right? And all you really need is one reason to do it. And so, the biggest thing I can say is perseverance is the key. And I say often most people give up a little too quickly. And the key is really just sticking with it. And I've learned, at least for me, I try to simplify things in business. I've learned if you can do one of 3 things and then actually add a +1, your chances of being successful are pretty good. So what are those 3 things? If you can save people time, money, or make it easier. If you can do one of those things, I'd say it's a 1x. If you can do 2, a 2x. If you're doing 3, 3x. What I mean by that is your chance of being successful increase 3 times if you can do all 3. But the +1 I found is if you can do all 3 and evoke an emotion, I don't know, we're talking maybe 6x, 10x, 12x, I don't know. And so if you can get to that point and have perseverance, your odds of increasing have exponentially increased.
That's a great comment, because there is a lot of emotion in how we purchase and how we buy and how we do things. And so being able to connect emotionally and how to get people to feel something, boy, that's a powerful way to look at how you do marketing. And also, I like what you said about the perseverance. That is a huge one, and especially that point about people quit just a little bit too early. If they'd waited just a little bit longer, they would have broken through to success. So great comments.
In fact, I would argue that most people these days are no longer buying products. They're buying experiences, because there's a lot of, parity among products. It's really the experience people are having. And that's really the key. And that's where you have the opportunity to exponentially increase your odds by evoking an emotion.
Love that. That is great comments. Thank you. All right. Question number 2. How can a leader of either a company or a team create a culture of creativity within their company?
Well, it's one of those things. Creativity starts at the top, and you have to define creative. What is it you want to be creative? It's one thing to say, be creative, but if you're not creative at the top, it's going to be hard to do, and it's going to be hard for you to even judge it, right? So part of being creative is actually being curious. and being able to go beyond your comfort zone. Because if you can do it and you can show that to others that they can do it, that's going to foster creativity. But being creative doesn't mean you're going to be successful every time. So part of that also entails knowing that being creative is taking chances. And, the saying is, if you want to improve your success rate, double your failure rate, right? So be prepared to be creative, but also recognize that you may fail sometimes. But then, I think we're going to get into this question later on that you have, in terms of success and failure and things like that. But, the first thing is being creative isn't just being creative. It's also knowing that you got to take some chances. You got to go beyond your comfort zone and be curious and creative comes along with that curiosity.
Oh, that's such a great comment. It really is a matter of being curious. I love that. That curiosity feeds into the creativity. Well said. Well said.
And being in research, I often tell people overcomplicate market research. But if you really think about research, what it really is structured curiosity.
Yes. Great way to look at it. Structured curiosity. I like that. Well, that's a new way, at least for me, to think about it. So I'm now pondering that. So I like that. That's a great comment.
Well, one of the things I like to pursue is aha moments. So, if you're having an aha moment, that's great, because that's one of my goals.
It worked. You got me thinking. So nice work. All right. Question number 3, kind of along the same lines. How can leaders help the team members to trust each other?
Well, there's certain laws of the universe that are just core truths. And one of those I find is that you're going to get what you give. And so if you're not going to give trust, you're not going to get trust, right? But part of that is, what does trust entail? Trust means that you should allow people to make their best judgment to solve a problem, especially at the front line. Empower them, give them some abilities, some tools to enact a solution at the moment that something's happening, not like, hey, let me get back to you. I got to talk to my boss and, I got to deal with it. And if you give that level of empowerment, you're going to gain some trust. And they might make a mistake, but you know what? I don't mind, as long as they tried to solve the problem. That is the key. And the other thing is, you need to go beyond the workplace. You actually have to have shared experiences, because that's where real trust happens, is when you have those shared experiences. So it's a combination. If you truly want trust, you better be able to give it.
I really like that. You hit on, I think, 3 things, if I counted correctly, but give the trust, and then also be willing to support those when they make a good, honest effort and maybe not work out the way kind of you think it will. And then the third one, of course, is, let's see, what was that third one? Being able to, support them. And then, oh boy, there was a third one. We're gonna have to go back and watch the recording and get that third one listed there for you. Sorry about that. Well,
have shared experiences. Shared
experiences. Thank you. Yeah, that's an important one as well, because team building is all about sharing some experiences. And I like how you said out of the workplace. It doesn't always have to be in the confines of the office. Go outside, do some different things, and try some different experiences together. Yeah, that's right. Shared experiences.
We humans are complex creatures, but at the same time, there's a lot of simplicity and commonality. And ultimately, business boils down, it doesn't matter the technology, the innovation, ultimately still boils down to people. And in the back of everybody's mind, people are saying, hey, can I really work with this person? Do I like them? Do I feel like I can really work them? Like sometimes you can have somebody who has the best idea, but you don't really want to work with them. Or someone has maybe not the best idea, but you say, I just really want to work with them. We'll figure it out. And that's part of trust.
Yeah, great. That's great. Yeah, well said. All right, question number 4. Share an example of maybe a time when you had kind of a perceived failure, but it turned into a win. And this ties back to some of the other comments you were making earlier.
Yeah, I mean, failures. First of all, I think you need to define failure, right? And you also have to define win. So I define failure as not trying, right? But if you fail and you learn, that's a win, even if you still failed. Because ultimately, the problem is not failing. The problem is not learning, right? And I kind of go with the 3-strike rule. If you fail once, all right. If you fail a second time, not a big deal. Hopefully you learn from the first mistake and you're going to learn from the second mistake. And if you fail the third time, well, now we're starting to say, hey, what's the common element here, okay? But if you're learning each time, then it's a new failure. And quite honestly, you're not going to get it right all the time. Nobody does.
Nobody does.
Because that's part of the learning. But the key is actually learning and growing and moving forward. It's not really about the failure. It's about the learning from the failure and applying it as you're going forward. And then that goes back to trust, right? If you empower people, they might fail, but you talk about it, you discuss it. Again, that's another opportunity for trust, right? Communication and trust. And part of that is also the keys to any relationship I found are really three elements. One, you need good communication, which doesn't mean just talking. It actually means listening as well. The second is you need empathy. You need empathy for your employees, they need empathy for you, but you ultimately need empathy for the customers. And that's where true communication and understanding comes. And that's where I think you can actually solve a lot of mistakes and failures. And the third thing I found is the people you actually work with. And I've discovered for me, I look for people that have at least, you're going to keep hearing a theme of three with me because I like the power of three. There's certain things in the universe, like how many wishes does a genie give you, right? Three, right? You never get 2 or 4, you get 3.
Oh, three is good.
But I find that I work best with people who have 3 characteristics. And if they have the +1, hey, we're good. And those 3 things are they thinkers, doers, and are they hungry? I can't teach that. And so I try to assess that. If I can find people who have those 3 skills, I have a pretty good chance that we're going to do well, because it's going to involve good communication, trust, all these things we're talking about. But the fourth element is, are they philosophical? And what I mean by that is, actually look it up. I've used it all my life, but I looked at it. It actually means critical thinking. And that means knowing that there's more than one way to solve a problem. And so there are people you find that really focus on the problem, but then you find people that, hey, you and I can sit here all day, Sean, and I guarantee a problem's going to find us. But that doesn't matter. The problem is, are we going to find a solution? There's other people that just absolutely love solutions regardless of the problem. And I find if they have those 3 skill sets plus the philosophical, your chances of overcoming most hurdles that are thrown at you are exponentially better.
Completely agree. Yeah, it's really a challenge when you have the wrong people trying to solve a problem. And you've really nailed some good points about how we can make sure that when we're in the hiring process, for example, that we're looking for those key components and those characteristics, because that at some point, could be sooner, could be later, you're going to need that person to solve a problem, and you already know ahead of time that they're going to be ahead of the curve because they've got those characteristics that you described. So love that.
Especially if you're going to empower these people in the front line and then they can solve problems.
Right.
And you can trust that a lot of this stuff is kind of done for you, right?
Yep. Oh, I love it. Love it. All right. Well, our last question, Darshan, tell us a little bit about your first job.
Well, interestingly enough, my first job was a mall intercept survey research, opinion research. And wow. I used to work in the mall and had to go and intercept people that, hey, would you mind taking time from your shopping to come taste a product, look at a video, or do something? And it was actually very revealing in many ways, right? You had to have, confidence. It's a numbers game to a degree. A lot of people say, no, I want to shop. Others, yeah, I'm kind of interested. Some people want to sample food and try different things. But ultimately, what I learned is there are insights all around us. And all you have to do is tap in and have conversations with people. And that's why I'm a big believer of aha moments. And I like pursuing what I call that light bulb moment. Because I found that if you truly tap into insights, that is your competitive advantage. Because ultimately, a lot of facts we have in our life at one point were insights that turned into facts. So if you can tap an insight before everybody else does, you've got a leg up on a couple of things. You can innovate, you can differentiate, and both those then can lead to having a head start in building loyalty.
Wow, fantastic. You are really good at, I don't want to say cramming, but putting a whole bunch of information, really good points into a condensed amount of time and really succinct statements. So this is one of these episodes where I hope that people will go back and listen to it 2 or 3 times, because I'm sure that there are more things to capture that they may not have heard the first time, because you're very good at bringing in multiple points in a short amount
thank
of
you.
time. You're very welcome.
I think it's your questions, though. I don't know if it's me as much as your questions.
Well, I'll take credit for asking the question, but you get credit for answering them so well. So I've been impressed with your answers. Well, Darshan, again, thank you for taking time out of your late evening to join us on the podcast. How can people get a hold of you?
Pretty easy. I have a couple of ways. You can just go to the website, iresearch.com. My email is pretty straightforward, dm@iresearch.com, or, come listen to my podcast, Getting to AHA, why today's insights are tomorrow's facts. And I love having conversations like this and, trying to create aha moments for each other and my, guests and stuff. And just learning, personal aha moments that got them to where they are, professional aha moments. And, I just think they're all around us. So why not, enjoy the world a little bit more by tapping into the aha moments that are all around us.
I love it. I love it. And I completely agree. There's lots of aha moments if we're willing to pay attention, be aware, pay attention. That's great. Well, thank you again. We appreciate you joining us on the podcast, and we extend our invitation to all of our listeners and watchers to always be paying attention to the world around you. And thanks again, Darshan. We appreciate you jumping on, and we wish everybody a good week.
Hey, thank you for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
Very welcome.
This is Sean Richards with the Team Engagement Podcast, where leaders of teams share their insights. For more ideas, go to teamengagementpodcast.com. We also invite you to follow or subscribe to our podcast wherever you may be listening or watching.